Hey everybody, how's it going? I hope you're having a lovely day. Today I have a rant, but it's not the rant that you were probably expecting when you guys sent me this article. This is an article talking about $3,000 e-bikes from a company called VanMoof. The company appears to be having financial difficulties, and they make an app that is required for you to be able to access certain features and functionality within the bicycle. And there is another company that appears to be coming up with a different application to allow you to continue to access the bicycle. Save your bike key on your phone, keep riding, access your basic information, export or import your digital key. If the application doesn't work for whatever reason, you may obviously start to have a problem with your bicycle that is based on this app. Somebody is coming up with an application to help you with this. Bikey is a simple app to enable VanMoof riders to generate their unique digital keys and keep riding. They are saying VanMoof riders should grab their key immediately, as it will be impossible to retrieve this key if the servers go down, and riders would be more or less completely without access to their bicycles. Now, I'm not going to rant about the thing that you expect me to rant about, because you know exactly what I'm going to say. I'm going to say the same thing that I've been saying on this channel for 11 years, and the same thing I said yesterday in my rant on Luddite Pride. I'm going to discuss something that you probably weren't expecting me to discuss in this video. A lot of people have been emailing me these links talking about how bad electric bikes are, look at how horrible EVs are, aren't electric vehicles a scam? Lewis, what do you think of this? They're locking you out of your bike because it's electric. Yes, VanMoof did something that I don't like. The fact that your key for your bicycle is stored in there, so any shape or form. Again, I understand what you want me to rant about, and trust me, you don't need me to, because that you already know exactly what I'm going to say. The thing that bothered me when I got all these emails was the implication that this had anything to do with the bicycle being electric. There's this thing that's been going on nowadays where people assume that all of the anti-freedom stuff that's happening is because of electric vehicles, electric cars, electric skateboards like the one wheel, or electric bicycles. The drivetrain technology that is utilized, whether it is internal combustion engine or whether it is electric, has nothing to do with whether or not the device that you have is respectful of your freedom. My e-bike that I show in this video over here is very respectful of my freedom because I built it that way. This is an electric bicycle that I like very much, and the reason that it is freedom respecting is because I purchased the parts for it from freedom respecting companies. I bought the controller from Grin Technologies. This is ebikes.ca. I think their controller, the Phase Runner, tell me if I'm wrong, I think it's based on the ASI BAC 800 or BAC 855. Either way, they took that controller and they actually made it more freedom respecting than the actual BAC 855, where sometimes they're locked and it's a bit of a pain in the ass. You have to use their application, which requires a username and a password to connect to. This doesn't. You connect to this controller with a 3.5 millimeter to USB plug, which they include with the controller for you. You can use the software that they freely make available. You can control field weaken if you want higher RPMs. You can tune how many amps it works with, so you can go above the default power limit of your particular motor. You can even tune the PID loop of your motor. How many controllers let you tune the PID loop of your motor? This is fully respectful of your freedom. And you know how I turn it on? There's no app, there's no digital encryption, whatever the hell key on somebody else's server. You know how I turn this thing on? There's something called a trigger line. It tends to be an orange wire. All you do is you attach the orange wire to power, and it works. As long as it's between 36 and 84 volts with this controller, double check, please check the manual. If it's anywhere from 36 to 84 volts, I have a switch that's waterproof, and it has a resistor on it between the main voltage and trigger. But I press my switch, it turns on. This e-bike controller does not require that I connect via Wi-Fi or Bluetooth or through an app or to a server key, or that I talk to the company that made it, or that my phone have an internet signal. All it requires from me is I hit that button. If I don't want it to be as easy as pressing a button to make it turn on, I can also install a key switch where plus is not going to be shorted to trigger unless a key is turned. There are many different ways that I can build it if I want, and I can build it to the security and locking that I please. And I can set it up so that I can be as insecure as possible, or I literally just take two wires and I twist them together to turn it on, or I can set it up to be as super secure as possible, where it's set up to a relay that requires a key on somebody else's server to short these two things together. But it's up to me to choose how that bike turns on. And I like that. It can be an electric vehicle and still fully respective of my freedoms and put together the way that I want it to be put together. I personally stay away from a lot of the pre-built e-bikes because to me, they're very anti-freedom. They cannot give you enough juice to be able to keep up with cars even in New York City. So throughout New York City, the speed limit is 25 miles per hour. I don't need the bike to go over 25 miles an hour, but I do need its 0 to 25 speed to be sufficient that I can drive with cars. If I can keep up with cars, the cars will ignore me. If I cannot keep up with cars, the cars will go around me because they're mad that I'm going too slow. They'll smack into me and then I will be dead. So one of the ways that I stay safe is I have my e-bike have enough power that it can get to 25 miles an hour fast enough that when the light turns green, I can keep up with the cars rather than me going slow and the car doing this because Ubers can't see bicycles. I like the fact that I can tune my bike to what it is I need so that I can have a smooth ride around the city. And when I was in New York City, I shared many of my rides with all of you. This is one of the reasons that I purchased an e-bike with my controller, my battery, and my motor so that I can set it up for me. And even if I'm willing to spend $6,000 on an e-bike from many of these companies, most of them don't allow me to adjust any of these parameters. Many of them, half the time, again, if you want to just turn the damn thing on, you have to go through their fucking system. This is a very freedom-respecting device. I also use EM3V batteries, which I like. They make batteries that look like the middle one, whereas many other batteries look like the right one. And I've already talked about batteries in this unit pack power video I did here. That is not an image I took off a Google image search. That is unfortunately real. And I've also opened their batteries on my channel for anybody who is interested in checking that out over here. EM3V battery repair. I wanted to put a new BMS in because my battery was getting very old and they had created a new BMS that made it easier to balance. They actually sent it to me at no charge. And you could see as I opened the battery, this thing is really, really, really well made. Back to the point here. And just to be clear, I'm not sponsored by any of these companies. They have not given me any discounts over what they would have given normal users. I tend to order from them on emails that are in my non-standard email, so they don't even know that they're sending it to a YouTuber with a lot of subscribers. They just treat people good, and I really appreciate that. They also provide people with a great level of support that you won't get elsewhere. So even when something costs more money on Grin Technologies' website, I tend to order it from them versus other suppliers because they've always done good by me, and they have very, very good support. But my point here is, you don't have to assume that because you're buying something that is electric in its drivetrain, that it's anti-freedom. This electric vehicle craze, whether we're talking about cars, electric bikes, or electric skateboards, really only started in the past 10 years. Internal combustion engine popularity started over 100 years ago. So 100 years ago, the culture was much more freedom-respecting than it is now, with this you own nothing nonsense, with the whole not providing schematics, diagrams, materials. If you even look at something like John Deere tractors, 100 years ago, or it was about 80 years ago, John Deere wanted their devices to be more serviceable. They were designed to be more serviceable, and they were even advertised as more serviceable to the end farmer versus now. We had a much more freedom-respecting culture back then, and as a result, the products we produced represented that. Conversely, now we have a culture that is much less freedom-respecting. Many things have digital locks. You have DRM. You have Section 1201 of the DMCA, which makes it illegal to even break a digital lock in what you own. You have lobbyists that go to legislatures and talk about how everything's going to go on fire and your microwave is going to explode if a home appliance repairman is able to fix the stuff that's in your house. All sorts of ridiculous nonsense. That is a very new thing that started over the past 5 to 15 years. And EVs have become popular over the last 5 to 15 years. So a lot of this design stuff, a lot of this anti-freedom design that you're seeing, a lot of this locking of everything is happening with electric vehicles, not because electric drivetrains are inherently anti-freedom, but rather because the designers themselves are inherently anti-freedom. If the internal combustion engine were invented today, you bet your ass they'd have a digital encryption keys and shit inside the fucking spark plug of the device in some way, shape, or form. The only reason that cars give you a little bit more degree of freedom when it comes to internal combustion engines is because it's kind of grandfathered in because the technology is 100 years old, and people are going to notice when you take away freedom from something where they had freedom. But they may not notice it with devices that they're not used to. And electric bikes are devices that people are not used to. As a result of them not being used to this, it's kind of easier to take freedom away when it comes to electric skateboards or electric bikes because people never really had that freedom to begin with because they never had the device to begin with, which is why it's very important for those of us who have been involved in the hobby for a long period of time to inform people that you indeed can buy electric bicycles, you can buy these products, you can buy electric motors and have fun with them. I had fun building this bike project and I went over everything that I did and it was quite a bit of fun over here. Everything is fused now. I got a nice little G-drive. That's actually a G-drive heatsink in the middle that my phase runner is attached to, and that's some thermal paper over there. I liquid resisted it. There's some liquid resistance over here with some caulking. Every one of those is not soldered in. All those wires are crimped together with liquid resisting crimps. It's a pretty nice setup. I like this thing. And the LCD screen on it this is some basic crap right here. This screen is visible at night, and this is visible in, the absolute middle of summer. Sun is beaming down on it. It's not a standard LCD screen like what's on your phone. You can view that thing in the sun. You can view it anywhere. And above all, it's dumb as shit. That switch that you see on the left, that is a push-button, liquid-resistant switch. There is no connecting to a phone. There is no connecting to Wi-Fi. There is no connecting to Bluetooth. This logs a lot of information on my trips. And you know where that information stays? On the fucking bike, where it belongs. And I like it. There's no way that any server could go down anywhere. A phone app stops working, my phone dies or whatever, it drops, and my bike is affected in any way. Because I purchased a freedom-respecting bike. If I wish, I can set a speed limit on it, but I choose not to. If I wish, I could set an amperage limit on it, which I have. I set it to an amperage limit of approximately 55 or 60 amps. I can set the PID loop exactly as I want. It actually showed up where I think proportional gain was close to like 1.5 and integral gain was 297, which I thought was insane. I lowered the integral gain back to about 10 and upped the proportional gain to about 2.7. So I still get speed and power, but I don't have the when it first starts off. And that's because the company that I purchased the motor controller from respects my freedom. I can control this. They show you exactly where to get the software. They show you exactly where everything works, exactly what all of this stuff is for, and it's absolutely beautiful. You are free to buy within the e-bike community and admittedly within the electric skateboard community, controllers and devices that respect your freedom, but you have to look a little bit for it. Again, a lot of these bicycles, I remember asking Sonny, because my friend had it, how do you replace the battery on this thing? The battery is built into the bike. This is going to be absolutely miserable to service versus something where the battery is on the outside and very easy to just unclick and stuff like that. You can purchase an electric vehicle, at the very least an electric bicycle, and you can buy something where down to the nuts and bolts at a very affordable price, you can literally adjust the PID loop. And you're going to have a lot of fun doing it. You really are. Making this thing was incredible fun. It was beautiful. And especially when you're working with a good community of people, like the people on the Endless Sphere forums, which are always happy to help. They post amazing reviews of batteries, teardowns of all these different products, comparisons of controllers, and reviews of frames. It's awesome stuff. And when you get a BBS HD because you're a noob like me and you hook it up to a phase runner for the first time with 2 or 3 EM3 EV batteries in parallel and you have some fun with that bike that you put together yourself, it's a beautiful feeling. It really is. You're going to feel this great surge of fun when you put your first build together and it's your build with your stuff that turns on, turns off, logs or doesn't log based on your preferences. Your vehicle does not have to be locked down because it is electric. So all those emails that I'm getting, don't you think electric bikes suck? Do you like electric bikes now? Look at this electric vehicle, this EV scam thing that this company is doing. It has nothing to do with the fact that it's electric. They're simply pulling the wool over your eyes and getting you to believe that because this is electric technology, that it is naturally going to be linked with anti-freedom, DRM, restricted crap. And it doesn't have to be that way. You can choose to look elsewhere, and I'm suggesting that you look elsewhere. And again, to be 100% clear, I am not sponsored by ebikes.ca. I am not sponsored by em3ev.com. Rather, I am appreciative that when I make purchases from these companies using emails and addresses and things that don't make it obvious that I have 2 million subscribers, I was always treated like a good customer. I was always treated with respect. And anytime I had a question, even if it was really stupid, they helped me and supported me through the entire process, which is very much so appreciated. And if you check out the products that you can purchase from EM3EV or Grin Technologies, which I'll link to down below, you'll find out that you can buy not only high quality products, but also high quality products that respect your freedom and autonomy at the same time that are very well supported and will give you a much better time, in my opinion, than any of this absolute garbage. I am not buying an electric bike where I cannot adjust the PID loop on it. I am not buying an electric bike that is locked 250 or 700 watts. I am not buying an electric bike that is locked to a particular speed. I am not buying an electric bike where the PID loop is stuck at some point. I know what you're thinking. Louis, what you need the speed. You can't have a bike with just an unrestricted speed limit. What if somebody goes over the legal speed limit? And this is what I'm talking about with the anti-freedom culture. Why doesn't my car figure out what the speed limit is on whatever road I'm going on based on GPS and Google Maps and automatically lock me to that speed? Because the car came out during a time where human freedom was respected. And now it is not. The fact that I see this question show up in my comments where people will say, Louis, in that region, it is illegal for your bike to be able to go over 700 watts, or it is illegal for it to go over 20 miles an hour. That is why the bike is locked to 20 miles an hour. Okay. In New York City, you're not going to find a highway that has a speed limit over like 45 or 60 miles an hour. They sell cars that have GPSs in them, and you can go over 60 miles an hour in New York City very easily. You can buy products that respect your freedom. They are few and far between. And when it comes to e-bikes, at the very least, I suggest you try and do so. With electric cars, that's going to be a little bit more difficult, but when it comes to electric bikes, you don't have to say that it's anti-freedom just because it's electric. You can buy one of these, and you have a company that really respects your freedom, that will allow you to have as much fun as you want with their products, and will happily support you every step of the way. So please, all I would challenge you to do consider that it has nothing to do with the drivetrain, whether it's electric or internal combustion engine, as to whether or not it respects your freedom. It has everything to do with the company culture of the company who's selling you the product. And if you want freedom to make a return, buy stuff like the Phase Runner. Spend less money on the VanMoof junk. That's it for today. And as always, I hope you learned something. I'll see you all in the next video. Bye now. And happy riding. Oh, last question, by the way. I have some work I need done to mine because when I moved it across the country, some stuff got messed up on. If you are a bike tech in Austin, Texas, I would be happy, humbled, and honored to pay you to do some work on mine. I had an absolutely amazing bike tech back in New York City who was always really great with helping me with any issues that I had, and I was very happy to have him. I don't have one in Austin, so if you're in the Austin area, I haven't had time to get to my bike at all. It's been I genuinely miss the days where I could sit in my office messing with it and tuning in for hours at a time. I haven't had time recently, so if you're somebody in the local area, I'll leave my email down below if you're open to paid work fixing my stuff. Anyway, that's it for today, and as always, hope you learned something.